Okay, so welcome back to another trade recap, and today we actually are busy with currencies. So today we have Euro USD, and I took a buy on the Euro USD. So I'll just take you guys quickly through my thought process and how I actually entered the trade, executed the trade, and how and why I exited the trade. So to begin, we can see we have a very important resistance zone on the daily time frame over here on Euro USD, and we can see that with one big daily candle we broke clean above this very significant daily resistance zone. So price broke above the daily resistance zone, and I was like, okay, this is a good indication that price is very bullish at the moment, and that actually price that there's a good chance that price might actually continue pushing to the upside, seeing that we broke this resistance zone with such momentum. But of course, I couldn't just take the trade or take the buy off of this massive daily candle to the upside, because this could have just been a fake out. Price could have just done something like this, a push up, and then a push up, and then a complete push down again, essentially faking us out. So with that being said, as we can see, like I said, we had a clean break above there with a massive bullish candle to the upside. So what I told myself after that was, okay, since we got the push above the zone, it would be a good time to draw on my Fibonacci retracement tool, right? So I drew it on over there, essentially waiting for a retest, or while I was waiting for the retest. And as we can see, I'm not sure if you guys will be able to see, but nonetheless, you can see with this bearish candle over there, we can see price push down towards the 50% retracement zone on the Fibonacci. It didn't quite hit the 61.8 retracement, although I would have preferred it, get a deeper retracement and a better entry. But we can see with the bearish candle over there, we did at least get the push into the 50% area of the Fibonacci retracement, right? So with that being said, I was like, okay, since we got now the break above with the retrace into with that candle into the 50% retracement area of the Fibonacci, it was a good indication, or it was a good sign for me to then get in. Also, if you notice the wick of this bearish candle over there, we can see we didn't close with a full momentum body candle into the previous resistance zone, which now became support. So we can see we had a nice little wick over there on the daily candle as well, right? So we got the break above, then we got the retrace into the 50% area, and more importantly into the previous daily resistance zone, which now became support. Together with that wick on that bearish candle, I was like, okay, I was patient. I waited for the retest. Let me just go and remove the Fibonacci. I got the retest that I wanted, not just into the 50% retracement level, but also into, more importantly, the now support zone, which was a resistance zone, right? So you can see that this was the candle that I entered off of, right? This, let me just mark it out once again. This bullish 4-hour candle is the candle on which I took my entry, and as we can see, after that, price was just a complete and utter mess, as we can see with this whole 4-hour little consolidation area over there. And we can see that price many times actually pushed deep into or near to my stop loss, right? So I was in pretty heavily drawdown. However, the trade was still valid based on two things. The fundamentals for the US, at least in the short term, was or is showing a little bit of slowed growth. This is just in the short term, and this was based on the PMI numbers that came out, I think it was last week. So based on that PMI numbers that came out last week, it was showing, for the US at least, a little bit of slowing of growth in the short term, right? And together with the tariff news and the uncertainty with the euro versus the US dollar, it was showing that the euro was picking up a little strength when it came to the euro versus USD, right? So the economic data, the fundamental data, the fundamentals, at least in the short run, is or was showing me that price was looking a bit strong for the euro. So hence, as we can, like I said, price pushed a couple of times deep into drawdown, but the trade was still valid based on that. And secondly, also the technical on the technical side, because even if you look over here, we had this which is also something I will admit that I didn't exactly take notice at first. You can see, and I don't usually draw trend lines unless I can see it will actually hold or be valid. And I only, if I do, it's mostly on the higher time frames, right? So we can see over here, this is something I didn't even take notice of. We can see we had a first touch over there, second touch, and third touch, and then we can see that price continue to push higher. But on this third touch over here, I was already out of the trade, right? But this is just something I'm noticing now, and even if I wanted to look for a re-entry, that could have possibly be a re-entry for me, right? But that's neither here or there. So like I said, on this 4-hour candle over here, where's this thing? So like I said, over there on that 4-hour bullish candle, that was after the closure of that candle, that was when I took my buy entry, right? And like I said, I could have panicked and closed when price was pushing so heavily into drawdown for me, but I knew that the trade was still valid based on the fundamentals, the economic data, and the actual technical setup as well. Because like I said, with the tariff uncertainty for the US, and all that, and also this could have actually been a reason for this complete mess right after I entered the trade. But nonetheless, the trade did actually work out, and after that frustrating little drawdown over here, we can see that price did eventually push up, and this little green line over here was just a little TP1 that I set. After price hit that trend line, I then moved my stop loss to break even, which then became a risk-free trade, and price did eventually end up hitting my full TP over there. So overall, it was a little bit of a frustrating trade, but it worked out. I was patient. I didn't get nervous. I didn't panic, and yeah, it worked out. And like I said, I could have actually re-entered off of the third touch of this trend line over here, but I chose not to just because today we had CPI and I wasn't exactly sure how whether inflation would come in soft or hot for the US. But as we can see on the third touch of this trend line, price did push way above where my initial TP was. But I just wanted to take you guys through my thought process of this Euro USD trade, and we'll be back, and I'll be back with another one, with another trade recap whenever I decide to take a trade again.